The first Digimon World game was no masterpiece, but it certainly stands out. I've already said my piece on it, but to keep it brief, basically it's a very, very flawed game. But it's that interesting kind of flawed. It offers up a very unique gaming experience that can be worth checking out for more open-minded players. But the same cannot be said of Digimon World 2. Hey there Digidestined, it's me, Spammer D. So look, I love me some Digimon. I love RPGs. So I really hope you can understand where I'm coming from when I say that this game really sucks. Honestly, it just blows my mind how they managed to screw this one up on so many levels. Though you probably wouldn't realize it at first. Because just like the original, the game opens up with a kick-ass CG fight scene that honestly still holds up. None of this. Then the game just drops us right into the thick of it. And unlike the first game, this time around, instead of being isekai'd to the digital world, we already live there and are smack in the middle of our final test to become a Digimon guard tamer. Which is actually pretty easy. All you gotta do is kill a Leomon. So you know, anyone could do it. Once you pass, it's time to pick which guard team you want to join, which basically just boils down to this, except much, much worse. Because this acts as nothing more than a choke point that just slows the game down right out the gate by limiting what types of Digimon you can catch for a pretty good while. Fun fact, this game never actually teaches you how to get new Digimon, which isn't that obvious by the way. Now it is in the instruction manual, but I mean, when you're making the how to capture a new Pokemon tutorial look good? So the basic premise is that you, as a guard tamer, are charged with clearing out dangerous Digimon from dungeons. That is, until an evil villain team shows up, and things kinda just escalate from there. Really, the story here is nothing special, nor is it particularly engaging, with most of it being just plot conveniences falling into our bland hero's lap, pretty much whenever possible. And what's worse, the Digimon barely feel like they're part of the story. This really could have just been any monster collecting game, and nothing would have changed. But it works well enough to at least get us out into the dungeons, where things really start to go downhill. Digimon World 2 is a dungeon crawler reminiscent of the Mystery Dungeon series, which entails more than just the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. For those of you not in the know, basically you just explore each floor as you search for the exit panel that will take you to the next floor, again and again until you reach the boss, all the while battling Digimon, avoiding traps, and finding loot. Sounds pretty good, right? Wrong. It's actually tedious as all hell. And our biggest culprit here is the Digibeetle, aka your stupid car. I hate this thing so much. Mainly because the entirety of the game seems to revolve around it. Instead of, you know, the Digimon, you constantly need to be upgrading this thing in order to proceed. Need to get past a trap? Gotta upgrade the arms, or gun, or wheels. Oh, and don't forget to buy ammo. And how about exploring? Gotta upgrade that battery. Invisible landmines blowing up in your face? Upgrade the radar. And there's more, but I think you get the point. And these things are not cheap. They're like the newest version of the iPhone. They're expensive and become obsolete just as fast. You are going to spend so much time grinding and grinding and grinding just so you can get through these dungeons, which are just a drag to explore, ignoring the obvious fact that the dungeons are just so dull looking. The PS1 was capable of so much more. Chests are often booby-trapped or empty, there's blocked paths everywhere, dead ends, and worst of all, leaving and re-entering resets your map data, since some of the floors, trap locations, and exits randomize upon entry. Honestly, it feels like the game is going way out of its way to drag things out. and the dungeons are where you spend the majority of your time, though not all of it. Between dungeon crawling, you'll find yourself in the main hub areas, stocking up on supplies or just talking to NPCs. And it's here that you'll find a lot of the smaller problems. Fair warning, these are gonna sound like nitpicks, but they are so prevalent, so numerous that they just can't be ignored. Like how the inventory system doesn't show the descriptions when transferring items, which you do, a lot. NPCs walk around as slow as humanly possible, and if you think accidentally talking to Nurse Joy twice in a row is trying, well, just wait until you meet your engineer. Every single time you return to base. I know you'll take care of my Digibeetle. It's your job. I need to kill something. Let's talk about the combat. So here's where things take a turn from the norm. In most mystery dungeon games, combat takes place on the field where you move around, but not in Digimon World 2. This game opts for the Final Fantasy approach, turn-based combat. And finally, I can give this game some praise, because the battle music rocks. It actually gets me geared up for a fight, especially that boss theme. Even if the frame rate drops does cause the music to lag a bit at times. But even outside of battle, the music is fitting, like the military music in the Guard Tamer's base, or that nice little throwback to Digimon World 1 late game. And I gotta say, it's certainly fun to hear all the Japanese attack cries with the dubbed names. Taco Bell! And seeing these attacks in action is actually pretty sweet. Even decades later, the Digimon, and especially the animations, still hold up surprisingly well, and are a treat to behold. Obviously within reason, but still, just look at how badass some of these guys look. And they've got so much energy. It's just a pity that the combat is so boring. Now, I'll grant that the combat is certainly an improvement over Digimon World 1, but that is not a high bar to clear, people. And while this may look like Final Fantasy, it's not. Now, let me clarify first. There are some interesting ideas here. Splitting up attacks into attack, counters, interrupts, and assists offer up a lot of strategy. For you, enemies only really have 1 or 2 attacks to work with, and the game rarely, if ever, gives them any semblance of tactics. Even during boss fights, it gets very samey, very fast, and is kind of a waste. But really, my biggest beef with the combat is just that it's so easy, while still being so slow. It's only towards the very end that the bosses start to get interesting, and even then, it's more due to cheap mechanics. For the sake of time, I won't go into much detail, but long story short, the confusion mechanic in this game is just super busted. Understand that I used all of my Mega Elixirs, my super heal items, and still gamed overed, losing 2.5 hours of progress. Because of course there are no save points in the dungeons, and all just because my Digimon would not snap out of confusion after 20 turns. Please, Devimon, snap out of confusion. What do you want from me? My firstborn? I'm a weeb. It's not gonna happen. But let's finish up by really driving that final nail into this game's coffin. The grinding. Oh my Angemon, the grinding. Now, I already talked about the grinding crap for your car, but that's not even the half of it. If that arbitrary limitation on what Digimon you can get early on wasn't bad enough, the game puts brutal limit caps on your Digimon, permanently halting their progress. Yeah, you heard me. Permanently. At this point, all you can do is DNA Digivolve. But this isn't like the show, because, instead of evolving, you actually devolve. Start from scratch. 0. Okay, to be fair, higher form mons just drop to the stage below, but that's really not much better. You still gotta go back. Now, obviously, the newborn mon has higher base stats and will learn the parents' movesets. Think egg moves and breeding in Pokemon. But you're down 2 high-level mons every time, and grinding the new ones back up is tedious. especially late game. Like, who wants to bring a baby to a high-level dungeon? Oh, and I know exactly what you're all thinking, but no, you can only gain 1 level per battle, regardless of experience gained. So you're always gonna have to grind, just to lose all of that progress once again as soon as you hit the level cap. Honestly, I found myself playing mobile games or surfing the web just to pass the time. And that's not the mark of a good game. And it's a shame too, because when I popped this one in, I was hoping that the childhood me who gave up on this game was just inexperienced. But no, he was right. This is just a bad game and a poor follow-up to what was at least an interesting first title. Digimon World 2 is just tedious, plain and simple. While it has a great soundtrack and a few good ideas here and there, they are all marred by poor execution. It really feels like every mechanic was designed to slow you down and pad things out. Toss in minor flaws that I'd expect from an NES era RPG, and you can see why this game has no right to be 50 plus hours long. But what hurts it most of all, aside from the god-awful grinding, is that the Digimon really do just feel like an afterthought. And as such, I just cannot recommend this game to Digimon fans or RPG fans alike.